Hey there, I'm Tony Nicole. This is The Uplift. We got a great show for you, great cast of characters as well. Among them, these, an 11-year-old with an unusual gift. Mom was worried if he shared it, he'd be made fun of. He decided to spread those wings anyway. Also, a woman who was inspired by her grandfather's cat to start a nonprofit. What does that organization do? Does it help cats? We'll explain. Also, emotional support chickens, bred in a knitting shop of all places in California. Well, they're now helping people all around the world. Also, we got an NBA superstar, Jimmy Butler, already made a name for himself on the court. Now he's got a new title, barista. All of that and more heartwarming news. You know what you're watching, The Uplift. Welcome to The Uplift, the show that lifts you up for at least the next 30 minutes, you and me as well. And we're going to begin here with a boy from Oklahoma, a born entertainer, you might say. His mother was nervous, though, that he would be made fun of because of his particular talent. Then he got up on stage and he flew. Here's Steve Hartman's story.
That is not a blue jay you're hearing, not a robin, nor a tufted titmouse. Those sounds are all coming from a Samuel, an 11-year-old Samuel Henderson.
I actually quite enjoy this.
Samuel, who is autistic and has Tourette's syndrome, can perfectly imitate 50 birds.
What's the hardest bird to do?
Probably the barn swallow.
How's that go? Do you ever think you might be a bird?
Yeah. Some people say that I swallowed birds.
But you haven't swallowed any birds.
No, well, chickens.
Okay.
The kid is a born entertainer.
Because we eat chicken.
Yeah, I know, I got it.
But since he mostly practiced his calls on the playground, alone along the back fence, a lot of kids at his Choctaw, Oklahoma school hadn't ever heard.
Until the annual Nakoma Park Intermediate School Talent Show. Samuel really wanted to compete, but no kid from special ed had ever participated. And this would be mostly singing and dancing and band instruments. So bird sounds? His mother was nervous.
Some kids can be mean. And
the thought of that happening to him on stage in front of the whole school.
It'd just break my heart if that were to have happened.
But Lori says his teacher convinced her that Samuel needed to spread his wings, so to speak. So he took to the stage. At first, the other kids didn't know what to think.
It really sounded like there was a bird in the building.
Exactly like.
I was like, what is this?
This is a bald eagle.
But as he continued and laid his passion bare, jaws dropped. The crowd came alive, and Samuel was not only accepted, he was admired.
He's really brave. It takes like a lot of courage to get yourself up there.
He aced it. I don't think I saw one single kid like not clapping their hands.
The kids are roaring. I was so happy to see him living his dreams. My heart just exploded.
It's been almost a year since that talent show. And guess who now rocks the playground? Samuel. That's who.
Everyone here can do a peacock. It goes like this.
Now that's something to crow about. Steve Hartman, on the road in Choctaw, Oklahoma.
Coming up, how a California knitting shop produced emotional support chickens that help people all around the world improve their mental health. And Dana Jacobson's interview with an NBA superstar, Jimmy Butler. They didn't talk basketball. It was all about coffee. Find out how Butler used the COVID crisis to turn his passion into an empire. That's coming up. In our next story, correspondent Joy Benedict visits a knitting club near Los Angeles where many of the members say the craft helps their mental health. The owner knows that's true because her knitting story has brought comfort to people all around the world.
This is the neck, and it works downward.
Through a cast or a cable, the click of the needle is quiet among the chatter inside this shop.
You go from one sleeve to the other.
As Jacqueline Camacho puts her hands to work, as she's done for decades, knitting.
It's one of the things I love to do the most.
But on Sundays, you'll find her here at the Knitting Tree LA for the weekly potluck, as a traditional activity of one becomes a flurry of fiber-fusing fingers, all creating at once.
I love the social commodity of it. Also, you learn when you come out.
The art form may be as old as time, but the reason to cast on is changing.
My husband says it's a good stress reliever.
Mental health in every pearl.
It keeps me sane. You know, there's t-shirts that say I knit so I don't kill people.
Annette Corsino opened the shop more than a decade ago.
Oh, you found some.
But what recently put her on the international yarn map is a pattern for mental health. But it is a little foul.
What do you do with an emotional support chicken?
You hug it, duh.
Her emotional support chickens are taking flight to knitting circles all over the world.
Oh, this is Chikira. She's one of our newest ones. Chikira. She didn't know that she could collect like this.
From Britt Henry Spears, Glenn Hinda, or even Beyonce, there seems to be a pattern for everyone.
The pattern has been translated into 5 languages.
So in the last year and a half, the Knitting Tree has actually sold more than 30,000 patterns for its emotional support chickens to 60 countries around the world. And as for kits, they've sold more than 5,000.
All you need is stuffing.
I know, it's cuckoo.
Just crazy enough to give knitters an outlet they need and an outcome to hold in a world where we all could use a little mending.
We're so sad for her.
Joy Benedict, CBS News, Inglewood, California.
You may know the Denver Nuggets. They're an NBA team, but what about the Rolling Nuggets? That's another hoop team in Denver. They play differently, in wheelchairs. Sarah Horbakowitz visited their court, where the team is helping a new generation of players get into the game.
These
nice shot
are the sounds of March.
Popping the 3.
And in Denver, Colorado, you can also expect to hear the clash of titanium.
We play basketball hard. You can put us up against probably an NBA team, and in our chairs, we've got a chance.
Meet Dan Hendricks and the rest of the Denver Rolling Nuggets, Colorado's national wheelchair basketball team.
Most people have 2 hands to use when they're playing basketball. Well, that's also what we're using for our legs too. So as we're trying to propel ourselves forward, back, move around, we're also catching the ball, shooting the ball, passing the ball.
While players may pick and roll with ease, this year the team will have to miss out on nationals, still feeling effects from the pandemic.
We lost some sponsorships, we lost a lot of participation, so it set the program back several years. And right now we're really recruiting hard to try to regain the team.
Turning to teaching and creating the only kids practice team in the state.
Jackson,
it kind of gave me a realization that I'm not the only one, and that I'm kind of like, I have a group and I have people that I can be around and then just be myself.
After a car accident in 2023, Lucy began using a wheelchair. She found the Nuggets a few months later and never stopped moving.
They didn't really know what lay ahead for me and if I was ever going to be able to play on the playground with them. But I think after I found a basketball team and other sports that I really love, I was kind of like, okay, I'm okay. I can still do all these things.
Switch it. Watch out, and I know there's a lot more adults, children out there with disabilities that could benefit from playing sports. We want to bring the whole community together.
And you can still count on Lucy for that Cinderella story.
I'm like, okay, ready for the Paralympics or something. Let's do this.
Sarah Horbakowitz, CBS News, Denver.
Coming up, meet a woman who says her grandfather's feisty cat inspired her to start a nonprofit. What does that organization do? You'll find out next. About 3.5 years ago, a woman in Canada was inspired by her grandfather's cat to start her own nonprofit. She calls it My Grandfather's Cat. Right on the nose there with that name. Caitlin O'Kane explains what it does.
When people get older, they may downsize their homes, clear out old belongings, donate things they don't need. But there may be something or someone that's just too hard to part with: their cat. What happens to Grandpa's cat when he can no longer take care of her? Angela Rayfuse was faced with that question when her grandfather passed away a few years ago.
He left behind a 14-year-old grumpy cat at the time named Mackenzie, and there was just no one in our family able to take her. So I moved into my parents' basement and adopted her. I heard comments and stories about so many people who's had to put their grandparents' cats into a shelter, or they adopted their grandparents' cat, or they don't know what happened to their grandparents' cat after they passed away.
Angela was inspired to find a solution. She started a nonprofit to rehome cats for owners across Canada who can no longer take care of them. She calls it, aptly, My Grandfather's Cat.
They submit an application to us, and then we start working with them. So we find out what their needs are for a new family, whether they're looking for a home with children or without children. If they're hoping for like a younger couple or maybe an older single senior, we find out what their requirements are. And then we get photos, we write a profile, and we mark it they're adoptable.
Since the organization's first adoption 3.5 years ago, Angela and her team have helped rehome about 310 pets. The charity works with owners on their own timeline so that they can give their cat a second chance at life when they're both ready.
We're truly finding them a second forever home. We don't want them to have to go to another home and another home and another home after this. We're really looking for the right family that's going to be there for them. But at the end of the day, like none of us know how long we're going to be here. Nobody knows when they're going to get sick or when anything's going to happen. So if the families, do ever need us, if they ever, heaven forbid, wind up in the same situation, they can always come back to us, and we will. We will be there for them just like we were there for the senior or the terminally ill person as well.
Angela was inspired to find a solution for those cats whose owners passed away, moved into a nursing home, or became unable to care for them. Angela knows that pet owners want the best for their cats, and so does she.
We realized we were getting applications for seniors that wanted to give up their pets because they simply couldn't afford to feed them. The rising cost of food here in Canada, I think everywhere, is nuts. So I thought, what if we created a pet pantry program?
Through donations, they are able to give pet owners in need $200 worth of pet food. And they go above and beyond to get their pet the food that they're used to and like.
And so many people, especially seniors, will feed their cats before themselves. They'll feed their dogs before themselves, it just shows the love. It shows how beloved these animals truly are by their humans, that their human will spend the money on them before they'll spend the money on themselves. And if we can make their relationship last even a couple months longer, that's what we want to do, and that's what we're working on expanding the organization into.
If a family feels it's too hard to completely give up their pets, they also help facilitate open adoptions.
One of my favorite open adoptions right now is with a cat named Flossie in Ontario. So Flossie's human passed away. Her daughter went and got Flossie from her home immediately, but she had a dog. Flossie wasn't getting along with the dog. It just, it wasn't a fit. It wasn't going to work. So we worked with these sisters to find a second forever home for Flossie. And the daughter that lives locally goes and visits Flossie so she can still be there with the last part of her mom, which is her mom's cat. And it's really helped them through the really difficult grieving process.
So if you're wondering what to do with your grandfather's cat or dog, yes, they take dogs too. Look for the woman who says, "I know how to help," because I have experience with my grandfather's cat.
Coming up, they call him Jimmy Buckets on the basketball court, but NBA star Jimmy Butler has a side hustle. He's selling coffee to fellow players. See how he brewed some big-time success. Jimmy Butler has played 14 years in the NBA, made the All-Star team, and won an Olympic gold medal. Well, now he is creating an empire off the court, selling coffee. His customers were fellow basketball players at first, but it went on from there. Dana Jacobson sat down with Butler to find out how his passion for coffee became a successful side gig.
Oh, what a drive by Butler, shaking Marshall.
He may be Jimmy Buckets on the court.
On the back down, Butler hits. He's got 18 points.
But Java Jimmy seems more appropriate here at Big Face, NBA star Jimmy Butler's very own coffee venture. We're making a cup of coffee with Butler.
So we want to take I already forgot what this is called.
Is a sport of its own.
It doesn't screw up the amount.
No.
Teamwork.
I don't
think
know.
it just screwed up the amount.
Some deserved trash talking.
I think that was too
Way to
much.
mess it up. Wow.
A touch of schooling.
Don't know what this is called.
It's a squeezer.
Squeezer? Like a twirly
condenser.
twirl?
Condenser. I like
Condenser.
twirly twirl.
A burst of energy.
What does it need, like the right amount of bubbles?
Yeah, the right amount of air.
Air in it.
And a smooth finish.
Wow. Are you doing a unicorn in there?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yes.
Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you. So I heard you have not always been a coffee lover.
You heard through the grapevine.
I did hear through the
That is correct.
grapevine. Not
I
always a
wasn't.
coffee lover.
Butler's affinity for these roasted creations, unlike his love of basketball, took a bit of time to develop.
I just got to thinking and realizing how much people actually have in common with one another. If you can just sit down and have a cup of coffee and talk about, football or what type of milk that you like in your coffee, how you drink it, and then I just started nerding out a little bit.
The draw was powerful enough for Butler to overcome one rather large obstacle.
The taste of coffee.
Hated it.
Yeah.
Hated it.
Has it changed for you?
It has, but I hated it at first so much that I just dumped a ton of sugar in it to where it tasted like candy.
I can't imagine your
And I
trainer
loved
liked
it.
that.
Exactly. My trainer was like, you can't drink your coffee like that. And I was like, yes, I can. It's my coffee. I can drink it however I want to. Now you fast forward, I can't have anything that has sugar in it. I don't want anything. I want to be able to taste and test if I can taste the notes in these coffees now.
Just how serious is he about his daily Java jolts? Butler's been known to even travel with his own barista. But that too, like the coffee he now enjoys, is a bit layered.
Rodney is his name. I don't think he's better than me at the barista skill set.
What would he say?
It doesn't matter what he says. We all have our own opinion.
That's true. And our own taste.
Yes. But he gets to see the world like I get to see the world. He gets to experience everything that I get to experience because I'm grateful for him for always showing up, never complaining about all the coffee that he has to make. And if I don't like it, he has to make another one. Plus, when I got a barista, I get to do barista brawls and throwdowns. Any coffee shop we're going to, my guy versus your guy, right now, let's go. So
I love it.
Life isn't about competition, but if you get to throw competition in there every now and again, that's not bad.
No.
Butler is no stranger to competition, a first-round pick in the 2011 draft by the Chicago Bulls. Now 14 seasons in, Butler's played for 5 teams.
Butler ahead of the pack. Jimmy Butler will touch it down.
Traded to the Golden State Warriors a few weeks ago after ending a 5-year run in Miami, which included 2 NBA Finals appearances. It was with the Heat back in 2020 that news of Butler's coffee fervor first trickled out, with reports from the pandemic-created NBA bubble that Butler had a side gig, selling a cup of Joe for $20 a pop to his fellow basketball pros.
At first, honestly, trying to sell the coffee, I was just trying to hustle people out of their money, if we're being brutally honest. But for tax purposes, I won't tell you how much money I made. And then, it was just the beginning of something that was fun for me, something to do other than just basketball. When you're stuck in a hotel in the bubble for so long, you kind of go stir crazy thinking basketball. And I was like, you know what? Let me hone in on something else.
Something that didn't end when Butler emerged from the NBA bubble, getting competitive, if you will, in the coffee space.
So you said you started nerding out. What does that mean in your terms?
In my terms, it means actually studying up on where all the coffee comes from, all the different types of coffee. And then you get into this many grams in, that much water out, all of that stuff. And then actually going to these coffee farms and hand-picking the coffee myself. That's part of the nerding out process.
What did you see that was different when you got to those coffee farms that you wouldn't have known if you hadn't traveled there?
The people. No, seriously, the people and how hard they work and how this is their life, how people think basketball is my life and I do it a lot, but it's not nearly as much of a time-consuming thing as it is with the coffee farmers. They're out there day in, day out, tracking all types of weather and making sure that everything's growing just right.
All fuel for Butler to launch his Big Face brand, which includes merchandise, coffee beans, even a coffee truck.
I wanted it to be a brand for everybody, something for everybody to drink, something for everybody to wear, something for everybody to drink out of.
Back in December, he opened his first brick-and-mortar Big Face in Miami's Design District. The launch drew stars from basketball and music, including Carmelo Anthony and DJ Khaled. But for Butler, opening the shop isn't about the rich and famous.
I get to come here, I get to be myself. While I'm in here, while I'm in this however square footage of a building that this is, I'm not a basketball player. I don't want to take pictures. I don't want to sign autographs. I want to talk coffee. I want to talk life. I want to be like everybody else while I'm in here.
And that pass from Draymond to Butler.
And while the 6'7", six-time NBA All-Star may never look like everyone else, when it comes to coffee, in some ways, he's just like your average Joe.
Is this about money or is this about passion?
Passion. When you start doing stuff for money, I found out a long time ago, it never works, and it's never worth anything. With passion, all of that other stuff will come. Yeah. The money, the more coffee shops, the recognition in this coffee space and around the world, definitely passion.
That is our show. I hope it brightened your day. I hope it lifted you up. If for some reason it didn't, don't you worry. Reruns, they remain free. Hey, Jared, I'm gonna go find some good news. You stick around, I'll be right back.